they are not cheap. And if the figures turn out to be not good, this is going to be one of the worst financial decisions I've made as an anime figure collector for the past 14-15 years. Would you like to hear the good news or the bad news first? Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm Steven, today with a figure unboxing as well as a review of this pair of figures over here. Two very similar figures but two different versions. This is also my very first third-party unlicensed pre-painted resin figure review on this channel. Though you shouldn't expect me to review third-party unlicensed stuff way too often. I pre-ordered them almost early last year. It was at least a year ago, maybe longer than that. The promised release date was the 4th quarter of last year, but obviously there was a delay. As you can see, two different versions of the same figure. You see the face expression in front, they are different. So this is the safe for work version. This is the X-rated version, which unfortunately I can't share it on YouTube. However, head over to my Facebook page. The link is in the descriptions below, and you'll be able to follow some instructions over there, and you will be able to find links to the X-rated version, pictures of them. Yeah, enjoy them to your full content over there. Anyways, let's put this one aside first, and we will proceed to unboxing the safe one right now. And that concludes the figure unboxing process of this 1x6 scale figure of Marin Kitagawa from Dodomo Studio. Since this is my very first third-party unlicensed resin GK figure unboxing and review, there are a lot of things to share with you guys, so please do stay tuned all the way to the end. If you enjoyed the unboxing so far, please do drop a like for this video and subscribing to this channel for more figure reviews in the future. Now let's continue. So before we move on to the details like the quality and the paint work and so on, there are a few things I would like to discuss. The first one being, as mentioned in the earlier parts of this video, there are two versions. This is the normal safe for work version where she is in her swimsuit and she has a smiling face. This second version over here, which unfortunately I could only enjoy by myself over here. I can't share it with you guys. Oh, very nice. This is an X-rated version and so-called limited version. I bet the quantities produced are quite significant anyway. Limited version, she is completely nude, so I can't show you guys the front of this figure for obvious reasons, rules on YouTube. And I have to block the backside too, just in case. She has a very shy face expression, different from the one over here, kind of giving you the reason to buy both, and that is exactly what I did, taking a massive risk over here. Okay, so speaking of the box is incredibly ordinary, well, until you open it up, of course. So the box for both of these figures, they are exactly the same, very ordinary, nothing much going on. You can tell that there are a lot of cost cutting involved, but this is not necessarily a bad thing, given that an X-rated figure is best to have a rather inconspicuous packaging. You don't want to attract unnecessary attention. Even the top of the box over here, they are exactly the same except for this illustration over here. You see this shy face over here, this is the box for this X-rated version. And this is a sticker. It is not printed on the box. They used the same exact box and then they printed different sticker and pasted on it. Cost cutting. But it works, right? So this is a rather solid box. It works very well for a resin figure. You see, resin figures, they are different from PVC figures in the sense that the material is a lot harder, a lot more rigid. But at the same time, they are also a lot more fragile. Think of it as difference between high density plastic and ceramic or glass, right? The latter breaks a lot more easily. So resin is a bit like that. So they need extra protection compared to PVC figures. The figure is placed inside this styrofoam box. And the best part is they secured these two halves over here with a velcro strap. Yeah, this one over here. This is fabulous. Japanese companies would just use a lot of tape, sellotape, you know. Now we move on to the actual figure itself. First thing, the dimensions, the scale and the size. This is where I had another pleasant surprise. I have already used measuring tape on this pair of figures. So normally when it comes to 1/6 scale figures, I normally don't expect much when I see the figures 1/6, the number 1/6, because with figures in kneeling or sitting pose, they are usually not very big, right? You look at a lot of anime figures that are sitting or kneeling on the ground, it is like 1/6, but they are like 17 centimeters tall maximum. In that sense, this figure of Marin Kitagawa is a lot larger than a regular 1/6 scale figure in kneeling or sitting position by a Japanese company. This thing over here, this Marin, is 19 centimeters from the knees all the way to the head. If you factor in the base, yeah, it is like almost 20 centimeters. Yeah, 2 centimeters extra might not seem like much, but trust me, at this kneeling position, it means a lot. It is very different. And then moving on to the actual figure itself, this is where this figure is kind of a mixed bag, right? Okay, so with the good news of this figure is that this figure is very close to what we see in the official product photos, while the bad news is it is very close but not exactly the same. Yeah. Now let's discuss about this figure's sculpting, the face especially. The face is the most important part of any figure. This is where things are kind of a mixed bag with this figure. Not to say that I did not expect it, I already discussed it in a previous video last week saying and asking you guys, are you willing to risk pre-ordering and purchasing a third-party unlicensed figure, because you don't necessarily get what you see in official product photos, and in a sense, this figure lives up to that reputation. Now let me bring up the official product photos of this figure over here. Look at her face, it looks fabulous, it looks very enticing, very attractive. That was what that made me try pre-ordering this figure in the first place, but in the final product, if you look at her closer and you pay attention, you will begin to discover something is not quite right. The issue lies in her eye placement. You see, if I were to draw a line over here on this photograph across her eyes, her left eye is slightly higher than the right eye. The placement of the decal is inaccurate. We are talking about fractions of a millimeter over here, not more than 0.5 millimeters, but I think the misalignment of the eyes are present in this face plate over here. And that is really kind of a shame, because when I look at this figure from a distance, or from the right angle, she looks fantastic. She looks exactly like Marin Kitagawa, very close to the official product even. And this slight error with the eye placement kind of ruined the figure a bit. So I don't know how many units of this figure of Marin is affected. Is it just mine, or there are a select few affected, or an entire batch is affected? I have no clue at all, but this is what I got over here. So will this eye misalignment, just very slight one, will it affect your decision to pick up this figure or not? Assuming that you are interested in her, but you are waiting for a review before deciding whether to purchase, I'll leave that decision up to you. To me, this figure still looks great, make no mistake, right? She is very attractive in her own way, but that eye over there, given the amount of OCD I have with figures, I inspect figures very closely. I always notice any flaws no matter how small it is. Yeah, that eye bothers me quite a bit, especially when I look at her from a very close distance. So Dodomo Studio, can I just have another head of this figure? Just the head? Like seriously, I want a new head with the eyes done correctly. Hell, I would even buy it from you guys, buy the head only. Is there a way to do so if you guys are watching this video? Okay, the other version of this Marin figure which has a different face expression. You'll see in this version, the eyes are actually level. This is a better faceplate in terms of quality control. But if you were to ask me, do I prefer this shy faceplate over this smiling one? I would say the smiling one is a lot better because it reflects Marin's character a lot more. It kind of matches her actual personality we see in the anime. Also, in terms of the parts fitting, you see the head is removable. It was separate in the box. The fitting of this smiling head into the body, the fitting is just right, neither too tight nor too loose. However, with this one over here, it is a bit too loose to my liking. You see? Yeah, just like that, it is in and I can easily take it out. This is a bit too loose to my liking. Of course, you can always glue the head permanently to the base if you wish. And more issues with the sculpt on the side of the head over here. You can see the seam line on this not safe for work version over here. Yeah, you can see how bad the finish is on the side, separating the two parts, the front hairpiece and the back hairpiece. I don't know if they rushed out the figure or something, because that is really not nice for a seam line. Though that bad seam line is present on this X-rated version's head, this smiling face version, the seam line on the side, this one is a bit better. Not that good, but much better in comparison. Obviously, there are some quality control issues going on with this pair of Marin Kitagawa figures. With any anime figure for the matter, when something is almost perfect, but it is almost because there is one small error over there that prevents it from being perfect. That is so frustrating about it, because to me, that is exactly what this figure of Marin Kitagawa is. She is almost perfect except for that eye over there. Alright, enough about the face and let's talk about other parts of this figure. This is where Dodomo did a great job. The rest of the torso, the body, all the way to the legs and the toes and so on. Yeah, they got it right. The sculpture part at least, the sculpting is fantastic. And with the paint work finish right on the surface, you get this very smooth touch surface finish on it. It is very nice to the touch and I like that a lot. Reminds me of some of Alta's figures a bit in terms of the surface finish. I like it a lot. Oh yes, this ribbon over here on the side, it was detached from the figure in the box, but it wasn't broken, so I just have to plug it back in. No issues over there. So with the sculpting of the body, would you go for the safe version or the nude version? I would say both have their own unique parts. Both are interesting in their own way, right? With this bikini version, you have that tight bikini squeezing against her boobs. And yeah, this subtle pressure points, right, it makes the figure look more detailed. So in a sense, buying the safe version because you are not horny enough is a good thing. It is a better choice actually. For the X-rated version, right, this is where we see a very nice pair of racks. Very nice indeed. I can't show you guys on screen. And down there where it matters the most to some of you guys, yeah, it is very nicely done. I like it a lot. Rather detailed, very well made. Very comparable to figures by Native and SkyTube, right? Those black armbands over here, yeah, we can't really do anything about it. Most figures with very little clothes on, they have this black color armbands because the arms, the hands, they are separate parts, and there is no way to connect them without hiding the seam line other than to put an armband over there. So that is a non-issue. And then speaking of the paint work, okay, the paint work on this figure fortunately is mostly great. The decal placement on the bikini and the paint work overall is fine. No paint bleeding, no scratches, no quality control issues related to painting. So that is all good with the paint department. And if you look at the back of the figure, right, you'll see the gradient paint work on the hair. The gradient work is very nice as well. I like it a lot. However, there's one thing that feels rather unnatural to me in terms of the paint job over here. This is not a flaw at all, right? This is just a personal preference. But when you look at her fingertips, they are a lot more pinkish than they really need to be. It almost feels like they have overdone the shading, the gradient painting on her fingers. Too much pink color, a bit lesser would be better. Currently, this kind of pink color gradient, it almost looks like she has just done fisting her boyfriend who has a constipation. And the last part about the base, it is a relatively heavy base. I'm not sure this is acrylic or transparent resin, but there really is nothing much going on. The design is very similar to what we see printed on the box. Before I end this review, there's one more thing I have not even mentioned and discussed yet. The prices, right? So this figure of Marin over here, the official pricing is 1,180 Chinese yuan each for each, right? So these are the conversions for US dollar and Japanese yen as of May 2023 conversion rates. Now the question over here is that, is this price of almost 1,200 Chinese yuan reasonable to you? Let me know down in the comments below. Now for my own opinions, to me it feels rather expensive. Given that when you look at this figure as a whole, without factoring in any quality issues, right? This is just a 1/6 scale bikini swimsuit figure, period. There is nothing special about it. So in this sense, 1,200 Chinese yuan feels rather expensive. However, you need to remember this isn't a polyvinyl chloride figure. This isn't a PVC figure. This is a resin figure. Resin is a more expensive material than PVC, like a lot more expensive. You see, I also have my own 3D printers, and let me bring up some comparisons, right? This is what a typical bottle of resin for printing figures looks like, right? This is Anycubic gray regular resin. This is just 500 gram bottle. I have a bunch of 1 kilogram bottles in my bag over there. So with resin for figures like this, for making figures, 1 kilogram of resin like this cost about 30 to 40 US dollars per bottle. This is 500 gram. A 1 kilo bottle is about 35 US dollars, right? So you see, to make a figure like this figure is not even 1 kilo, of course. This figure is weighs less than that. But you need to factor in, if you 3D print a figure, every single mistake you make, you lose a lot of material. You waste a lot of material. And this is why the cost really adds up. It will end up costing you a lot, very expensive, if you make mistakes with 3D printing. Alright, here is a big guy over here. This is, whoa. nearly I hope I alright, nearly broke the thing. I hope I did not. Okay, so what I'm looking at over here, this is my own 3D printing work, right? This came from my Anycubic Photon Mono X, 5 separate parts. This is a 1/8 scale Berserker Hercules from Fate Stay Night. There are no official scale figures of her out there in the market, which is why I printed my own, but this is only in primer stage, and there are still quite a bunch of imperfections which I need to iron out or maybe leave them be, I don't know. So you see, why did I print this figure? Why did I make this resin figure on my own? Because there are no official products, no official figures, no genuine figures of this character out there in the anime figure market. And that is one of the very main reasons why we purchase figures like these third-party unlicensed resin figures and willingly take the risk because, well, there are no choices for us in the market. We want a figure of the character, there aren't any. When this pair of Marin figures went on pre-order, there were no official scale figures of her. Though, yeah, now we already have one by Aniplex not yet released. I really like that one a lot. I might pick up the Aniplex one as well. So there is obviously a vacant market over there waiting to be capitalized by those companies, those startups who are willing to sell us these kind of products. So these third-party resin figures, regardless of their inconsistencies in delivering you the quality and so on, they have their places in the market and a lot of people are going to continue buying them regardless of my findings with this video. I personally love them a lot. I'm going to display them somewhere on my shelf over there. So after watching this review today, would you still proceed and buy this pair of Marin figures knowing that you might receive one where the eyes are kind of misplaced ever so slightly? Let me know down in the comments below, and I really do appreciate it if you watch it that far to this end. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope this review has been helpful to you guys. Until then, see you guys very soon, and goodbye.